What if I told you that 6 bottles sitting in your grandmother's vanity could still make grown men weak at the knees today? Are perfumes created nearly a century ago outselling the latest celebrity launches? You're about to discover something the fragrance industry doesn't want you to know. These classic scents weren't just popular in their time. They literally invented the rules that every modern perfume still follows. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome. My name is Jesse, and I'm glad you clicked on this video. And today, we're diving deep into 6 legendary fragrances that changed perfumery forever. From the mysterious 1919 creation that perfumers still call the reference to the 1980s powerhouse that women swear makes them irresistible. We're exploring whether these classics can still compete in 2025. But here's the twist. I'm also revealing which affordable clones actually capture their magic, and which ones are just expensive disappointments. Guerlain Mitsouko, year 1919. Let's start with the oldest rebel on our list. Picture this. World War I has just ended, and while everyone else is celebrating, perfumer Jacques Guerlain is crafting something dark and mysterious in his laboratory. Mitsouko wasn't named after a flower or a pretty concept. It's named after a Japanese woman from Claude Farrer's novel La Bataille, a story of impossible love, war, and waiting for fate to decide everything. I first encountered Mitsouko at my local Guerlain counter 3 years ago. The saleswoman actually tried to discourage me. "It's very challenging," she warned. One spray later, I understood why. This isn't a perfume, it's a mood. And that mood is melancholy sophistication. The scent opens with bergamot that sparkles like champagne. But here's where Guerlain broke all the rules. They added a synthetic peach note, the first time anyone had dared use artificial fruit in fine perfumery. That peachy heart, surrounded by rose and jasmine, sits on a bed of oak moss, so rich and bitter, it's like walking through a forest after rain. Performance-wise, Mitsouko is a marathon runner. We're talking 8 to 10 hours of complex evolution on your skin. The sillage is moderate but memorable. It doesn't scream, it whispers secrets. Here's the fascinating part. Mitsouko is both the most revered and most challenging fragrance in perfumery. Luca Turin gave it 5 stars and called it the reference Kypre. But many modern wearers find it overwhelming. It's like appreciating aged wine. You need to develop your palate. As for clones, honestly, don't bother. Rohadov's Diaghilev comes close, but costs even more than the original. Mitsouko chooses its wearers, not the other way around. But that complexity was just the beginning. Chanel number 5. Year 1921. 2 years after Mitsouko shocked the perfume world, Coco Chanel walked into Ernest Beau's laboratory with a simple request: create a woman's perfume with a woman's scent. What happened next created the most famous fragrance in history. Here's the story everyone knows. Beau presented multiple samples and Chanel chose the 5th one. But the real revolution was invisible. Beau had overdosed the formula with aldehydes, synthetic molecules that smell like hot iron, and soap bubbles had a baby. My first encounter with real Chanel No. 5 parfum was at a vintage fragrance fair. The vendor, an elderly French woman, dabbed a tiny amount on my wrist and said, "Wait 10 minutes, then you'll understand." She was right. Those aldehydes hit like champagne bubbles, then melted into the most perfect rose jasmine bouquet I've ever smelled. The fragrance structure is deceptively simple. Aldehydes, ilang-ilang, neroli in the opening, iris, jasmine, and rose in the heart. Then a warm embrace of sandalwood, vanilla, and musk. But the magic is in the proportions. This was the world's first abstract fragrance, meaning it doesn't smell like any flower that exists in nature. Performance varies dramatically by concentration. The parfum lasts 8 hours and projects like elegant whispers. The EDP gives you 6 hours of moderate sillage. The EDT? Beautiful, but gone by lunch. Chanel No. 5 sells 1 bottle every 30 seconds worldwide. That's not nostalgia. That's timeless quality. It's the fragrance equivalent of a little black dress. Appropriate everywhere. Eternally chic. Clone-wise, I've tested dozens. The closest I found is Perfume Parlor's version, but it's like comparing a photograph to a painting. The aldehydes are there, but the soul is missing. Speaking of revolutionary formulas, let's jump to the fragrance that invented an entire category. Guerlain Shalimar, year 1925. While Chanel No. 5 was conquering Paris, Jacques Guerlain was having his own eureka moment. According to legend, a worker brought him a bottle of synthetic vanillin, and Guerlain poured it into a bottle of Jiki, their 1889 creation. The result? The world's first oriental fragrance. But Shalimar's real inspiration is pure romance. Named after the Shalimar Gardens, where Mughal Emperor Shah Jahan courted his beloved Mumtaz Mahal, the same woman for whom he built the Taj Mahal, this perfume is literally a bottled love story. I remember exactly when Shalimar clicked for me. I was testing the parfum during a cold December evening, and as the bergamot opening settled into that legendary Guerlainade base of iris, vanilla, and tonka bean, everything made sense. This isn't just a fragrance, it's emotional architecture. The composition is masterful. Calabrian bergamot provides that signature Guerlain sparkle, while the heart blends iris and rose with surprising restraint. But the base is where the magic happens. Vanilla, but not sweet shop vanilla. This is resinous, smoky, almost leathery vanilla, backed by tonka bean, and just enough powder to feel luxurious. Performance? Shalimar is a powerhouse. 8 to 12 hours is normal, with sillage that announces your presence without shouting. The EDP is my sweet spot, concentrated enough for complexity, but wearable enough for modern life. What blows my mind is that Shalimar still sells 108 bottles every hour in 2025. That's staying power no marketing budget can buy. For clones, you're mostly out of luck. The Guerlainade Accord is Guerlain's secret weapon, and nobody's cracked the code. Save your money and buy the real thing. From timeless oriental beauty, we're jumping to the 1980s, where one fragrance earned a very specific reputation. Chanel Coco, year 1984. The 1980s were the decade of power dressing, and fragrances followed suit. While YSL Opium dominated the oriental category, Chanel's Jacques Polge created something different, an oriental that was undeniably French, undeniably elegant, and according to countless reviews, undeniably irresistible to men. I have to share this story. Last year, my friend Marcus insisted I test vintage Coco parfum from his collection. Just try it, he said, but be warned, it's dangerous. I thought he was being dramatic. 3 hours later, I'd received more compliments from strangers than in the previous month combined. Coco opens with Bulgarian rose, but not garden party rose. This is spiced rose wrapped in coriander and peach, with jasmine adding smoothness. The heart explodes with cloves, orange blossom, and mimosa, creating this incredibly warm, spicy embrace. Then comes the base: amber, sandalwood, vanilla, and here's the key: civet. That animalic note that makes people lean closer without knowing why. Performance is legendary. We're talking 10-hour longevity with sillage that follows you like an invisible aura. The parfum concentration is particularly potent, 2 sprays maximum unless you want to clear rooms. Here's what makes Coco fascinating. It's polarizing. Some people smell expensive soap, others smell pure seduction. There's no middle ground. But for those it works on, it works like magic. The current reformulations are gentler than the vintage bombs, but still powerful. As for clones, I haven't found anything that captures that specific amber spice civet combination. Coco is unique, for better or worse, but Chanel wasn't done reimagining classics. Chanel Coco Mademoiselle, year 2001. Fast forward to 2001. The new millennium demanded a new kind of elegance. Younger, brighter, more accessible. Enter Coco Mademoiselle, Coco's sophisticated daughter who went to university and learned to be charming. This one has personal significance for me. Coco Mademoiselle was my gateway drug into serious perfumery. I was browsing Sephora, overwhelmed by choice, when the sales associate sprayed this on a card. That opening, sparkling orange and bergamot with orange blossom, was like sunshine in a bottle. The structure is brilliant. Citrus and orange blossom create instant appeal, while Turkish rose and jasmine provide floral elegance without overwhelming. But the genius is in the base. Patchouli, white musk, vanilla, and vetiver create this modern, wearable sensuality that works on everyone. Performance is solid. 6 to 8 hours with moderate sillage that's office appropriate but evening worthy. It's the chameleon of the Chanel line, appropriate everywhere, beloved by all ages. And here's where it gets interesting. Coco Mademoiselle has fantastic clones. Lidl's Madame Glamour is shockingly accurate for $22. Next Eau Nude captures about 90% of the experience for $25. Even some smaller niche houses have created excellent interpretations. From modern accessibility, let's explore the fragrance that cleaned up the 1990s. Estée Lauder Pleasures Year, 1995. By the mid-1990s, perfume lovers were exhausted by the heavy orientals of the 1980s. Enter Pleasures, the palette cleanser that reminded everyone that flowers could be beautiful without being overwhelming. Created by the legendary duo Annie Buzantian and Alberto Morillas, Pleasures was designed to capture a bouquet of fresh flowers after a spring rain. Marketing speak? Maybe. But they actually pulled it off. I'll be honest, Pleasures took me 3 tries to appreciate. The first 2 times I dismissed it as office safe and boring. The third time I wore it on a sunny spring morning while walking through my local park, and suddenly everything clicked. This isn't about complexity, it's about capturing perfect simplicity. The composition centers on white lily, violet leaves, and white peony, supported by exotic carocarunde blossoms and bay rose. The base is minimal, sandalwood, patchouli, and clean musks. It's deliberately transparent like watercolor versus oil painting. Performance is where opinions split. On some people, Pleasures last all day with gentle, attractive sillage. On others, it disappears within hours. The key is skin chemistry. If you're naturally acidic, this might not work for you. What's undeniable is Pleasure's influence. It rejuvenated the green floral category and spawned countless imitators throughout the late 1990s and 2000s. Every clean fragrance owes something to this formula. Clones are hit and miss because the simplicity makes flaws obvious. Better to buy the original. It's reasonably priced and widely available. Now let's talk about what you really want to know. Which alternatives actually work? For Chanel No. 5, I've tested over 20 clones. Most miss the aldehydic sparkle entirely. The best is Perfume Parlor's version at about 70% accuracy. Respectable, but not magical. Mitsouko clones don't exist in any meaningful way. The oak moss restrictions killed most attempts, and the complexity is impossible to replicate cheaply. Shalimar has some decent alternatives in the vanilla amber family, but none capture the Guerlain Accord. You're better off buying a small bottle of the real thing. Coco has no successful clones I found. The amber spice civet combination is too specific. Coco Mademoiselle is the clone champion. Lidl's Madame Glamour is 85% accurate. Next Eau Nude captures the spirit beautifully, and several online companies offer excellent versions. Pleasure clones often smell too synthetic because the original relies on natural smelling synthetics. The real thing isn't expensive enough to justify risking disappointment. So, do classic scents still have the power to amaze? Absolutely, but with conditions. If you love modern gourmands and sweet orientals, start with Shalimar. It's the bridge between classic and contemporary. If you appreciate complexity and don't mind challenging fragrances, Mitsouko will either become your signature or teach you what you don't like. For versatility and crowd-pleasing beauty, Coco Mademoiselle remains unbeatable. Chanel No. 5 requires commitment. Sample it multiple times before buying. But when it clicks, nothing else compares. Coco is for confidence and special occasions when you want to be remembered. Pleasures is perfect for those who prefer subtle elegance over bold statements. These 6 fragrances represent over a century of perfumery evolution, from the mysterious Kypris of the 1910s to the accessible elegance of the 2000s. They're not museum pieces, they're living classics that continue to inspire and seduce. The question isn't whether classic scents can still amaze you. The question is, are you ready to be amazed? What's your experience with these legendary fragrances? Have you found any clones that actually work? Let me know in the comments below. I read every single one and love hearing your fragrance stories. If this deep dive into perfume history fascinated you, smash that like button and hit subscribe for more fragrance explorations. And don't forget to ring the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Until next time, keep exploring, keep experimenting, and remember, the best fragrance is the one that makes you feel like the most confident version of yourself. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, smell and feel good. Stay fragrant.